Echo Fan Grey Wolf here. So this video is about racism. It's part 5. Alright, so I've had some issues with things on TikTok. You know about the Rittenhouse, and you know about the Trump. And I had talked to a guy who's Mexican, who didn't believe that Trump was racist. I had to, unfortunately, point out the fact that Trump said that Mexico was going to pay for the walls, and that Mexicans were drug dealers, rapists, and thugs, and murderers. And I guess he'll probably go look for that, which is like the key to this. Before you go any further into this video, stop the video right now and go do research. Do your research. Come with your own opinion and try to be biased. I didn't want to believe that Trump was racist. I really didn't. But then I had to remember a few things. See, as I pointed out in my other video, racism doesn't work if you're not the minority being racially picked on. Okay? So if you're not black being picked on by someone who's not black, it's generally not going to be a problem. Because most white cats, if y'all fight with each other, well, you can have friendly rivalries and it's water off a duck's back. But when you are a minority, like when you are native or when you are black or when you are Asian, someone says something derivative to you, like calling you a WB if you're Mexican, that's racist. If someone calls you a SI while you're Asian, that's racist. If someone calls you the N-word while you're black, it's racist. For some reason, a lot of people don't seem to understand how racism works. So, I don't want to use the racial derivatives. I got enough problems. I don't need everybody, oh, well, yeah, that Echo Fang Grey Wolf's the biggest racist on the planet. Yes, but I'm only racist to racist people. But I've also been the victim of racism all my life. I understand that shit. When I was in grade school, if I walk into the room and the black cats was talking and there was not a white person in the room, the first thing they would do is change the subject, stop talking. The half-breed just entered the room. And yes, they literally have said that. The half-breed has entered the room. So yeah, things like that's kind of offensive and racist. Same thing on the other side of that spectrum. When I walk into the room and there were white people. Stop talking. The half-breed has entered the room. And they add a little spice to it. The half-N has entered the room. So then the black kids started adding spice to it. The half-H has entered the room. N is the N-word. H, just go watch George Jefferson, as I said in the other videos. I'm not going to go to any racial derivatives. WB is something that they have used on Mexicans as well as Asians. So those you should be, and it's not Warner Brothers. Just go, it's another word for water. And there you go. So now you've learned some racial derivatives without me actually using racial derivatives. But the point is, a lot of people don't understand. When you're not the person being racially accosted, then you're not feeling our pain. And just for the record, I'm going to say this one more time before I jump onto the subject that I had to erase. 1, there's just any equal racist in other communities. There's equal amount of racist black people as there are white people, as there are Asian people, as there are native people. And if you don't believe that, you just haven't bumped into the right one yet. And that's how that works. When you haven't bumped into the right one, you have no dog in the fight until you bump into the right one. But see, racism works on the basis of your color, your skin, your ethnicity, your face. And if you are Asian and people don't like Chinese, but you're Filipino, but you're as light as Chinese people, they're going to think that you're Chinese because they're racist. Or maybe they don't like Japanese. Or maybe they just don't like Asians at all. So they just hate you because you're Asian. Without even giving you a chance, without getting to know you, they're fucking hating you. Okay? That is racism. Same thing with black people. And black people are racist amongst ourselves because of the color wheel. Oh, you're a light-skinned black guy. You think you're white, right? So yeah, we don't like you. We're the dark-skinned black guys. We're the real black guys. We are closer to our African relatives than you. So you're not really one of us, you're one of them. And then you get to the white group when you're half black and half white, and you're in the middle, and don't neither one of the groups trust you because you're half and half. Well, the news flash for them was when I got into the 5th grade and found out I was part Native, now I had no allies, no friends, nothing. My true friends were there. But the rest of the world, it's like, yeah, we don't really know what this guy is. No, 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 no. Now, let's get on to my Mexican friend on TikTok. He's not really my friend yet, but I'm sure once he does his research, he'll probably come back at me with some more bullshit. But, truth be told, we love our gods. We love our celebrities. We love our gods. We love the fact that if you worship these human beings, you're good. But what you fail to understand is if you meet them in person, they aren't the people that you see in your head. Understand that shit. If they're a character they play, like say you love John Wick but you don't like Keanu Reeves, that's understandable. I'll never stop liking excellent, but I've never met Keanu Reeves in real life. I just know every character he's played, and Keanu Reeves is mixed, alright? Because he's half Polynesian and white, okay? I said Polynesian because his mom is Hawaiian, but Hawaiians have different Asian ethnicities, so I'm not sure what Keanu's mom actually is. Shout out to Keanu. But, if you meet him on the street, he might not be that laid back. He might not be that guy that we see him play as. He might be a monster. No offense, Keanu. I'm sure he's not a monster. But, he might also be that guy. He might be that chilled ass, excellent surfer dude. Now, when Trump first started doing this shit, all of his celebrity fans that turned on him, there's like, this isn't the Donald Trump I know. This isn't the Donald Trump I know. Check it out. There are videos. There are lots of videos that holler, this isn't the Donald Trump that I know. But his true colors came out. And then when he started talking about the Wuhan virus, the Kung flu, the Chinese disease, and everybody's like, oh, well, we're just turning a blind eye to that. And you'd be surprised how many Asians were running around Trump 2020. And it's like, you do realize that because of his rhetoric, more Asians have been attacked in his 4 years in office than they have been in history. You guys might want to research that, because I could be wrong. But he also made it easy for people to be racist right out in your face. And before he was the president, everybody watched what they said. Black people watched what they said. White people watched what they said. Asian people watched what they said. And if you had a tiny bit of a racist inkling of saying something racist, you caught yourself. You caught yourself. I get an example in the video I deleted, so I'm going to give it to you again. Let's say I'm a white fella. I'm watching two black people fighting. But I'm a racist white fella. Not on the job, but when I go home, I'm as racist as you can get. So while I'm at the job, and me and the boys, because they don't know that I'm racist, we all talking. Those brothers is fighting, man. Those brothers is fighting. That brother with the red shirt, he a badass. That brother in the blue shirt, he sucks ass. So, get home to my equally racist wife and say, hey, honey, you know what happened at work today? No, dear, what happened? These two N-words got the rumbling outside. I was watching. I even put a little money on the guy in the red shirt. $150. Because that shit does happen. You might not want to agree with what I said. You might not want to believe what I said, but that shit does happen. And again, take it with a grain of salt. This is a scenario. But if you think for a New York minute that black people aren't doing the same thing when white people were fighting, you are wrong. So let's say I'm a black guy. Same scenario, only it's two white men fighting. Holy crap. Them white cats is throwing down. Let's say I'm a black racist. Holy crap, I'm George Jefferson. Those two H's are throwing down. When I get home, my wife already knows I'm a racist. So I'm going to come home and say, honey, you know what happened at work today? No, honey, what happened? These two H's got the fighting. Now, one of them was a C and one of them was an H. And the C had on the blue shirt and the H had on the red shirt. And the H was tearing up the guy who was the C. H, go watch George Jefferson. C, sort of like a snacker, but more like a snack. Whip. Those are racist terms. I don't want to use them, so I abbreviated them. Now let's fling that shit all the way around. I am a Chinese man. I am at work. The black guys in the red shirt, the white guys in the blue shirt, they get in a fight. Now this word is just as bad, but I can probably slide away with this. So I'm going to do it. So, I do not remember the Chinese word for black. But Guaylo is interchangeable. So I've been told. I could be wrong. Go do your research. So, I'm equally racist. I don't like blacks. I don't like whites. I don't want my daughter dating them. And I'm Chinese. My Chinese wife isn't racist. But she still loves me, so she's just letting me vent that shit out. Honey, guess what? These two Guaylo got to fighting at the job today. That shit was awesome. The white Guaylo was kicking the black Guaylo's ass. And then the tides turned. And the black Guaylo was kicking the white Guaylo's ass. It was fucking awesome until they started bleeding. Then I had to take it amongst myself and call 911. Now, let's flip it around. I'm Japanese. I do not know the black term for gaijin. But gaijin means outsider, not just a racist term. Okay? But I'm going to use that word. Same concept. I'm Japanese. I'm racist. My wife is not racist. She's going to let me vent. When I'm at work, that dude, that black dude and that white dude, they got to fighting. And it was good. And the black dude was winning at first, but then the tide changed and the white dude started kicking the black dude's ass, which was unexpected because I didn't think that white people could beat black people because I'm scared of them. Because of stereotypes. Gets home. Oh, honey. Two gaijin got to fighting today. Gaijin was white. Gaijin was black. Gaijin white started beating the shit out of Gaijin black because Gaijin black was winning at first. You see how racist this shit sounds? Point being made that no one is above racism. No one. Now, see, I use Gaijin and Guaylo because they were a little bit easier to translate. Alright? But there are words in between that go with Gaijin and Guaylo. I just don't remember them. Okay? Now, let's say it was a woman. Be a Guaypo. I forgot what the female Gaijin is. Alright? It's been a long time since I took karate. But anyway, there you go. So, the situation was worse if it was females fighting. And you're not racist, but your wife is. And she doesn't want your daughters dating people who aren't one of your people. You know? Hey, shit happens. Don't think that racism spans only male gender. No, no, no. Racism spans female gender too. There is no ifs, ands, and buts about it. There are just as equally amount of racist men as there are equally amount of racist women. Whether you want to accept that shit or not is another ball game. So again, moving back to the point. When we meet our idols and find out our idols aren't who they are cracked up to be, they just are blessed with the greatest jobs in the universe. You know, we watch them, we pay, we go eat popcorn and we watch them, and hey, you meet them in the street, you rarely meet them genuine. Now, some of them are genuine. Some of them are not. You're going to find that shit out. You know, it's just a matter of time, you know, preparation. But see, there's also the fact that they may be having a bad day. Maybe they are genuine and you just caught them at a bad moment, which could really fuck up their career because they're like, yeah, well, what happened was I was this close to getting a role and I lost it. And I lost it to somebody who can't act their way out of a wet paper bag. That would kind of be like The Rock going against me, and by the grace of God, they decided to give it to me. It's never going to happen. But anyway, you know, shout out to The Rock. The point is, you know, when you're building these bridges to try to show people who's racist and who's not, no matter what you do, no matter what I do, no matter what I say, your mind is yours. And only you can see the truth when you choose to. Like I said, I didn't want to believe Trump was racist. I really didn't. But my problem with Trump went back to before he became the president, which was the 1993 casino shit. And then the 1990 thing that came in between that was like the goddamn fucking Central Park 5. There are videos that y'all can go find. There's a documentary that y'all can go find. But see, the problem with a lot of people who support Trump is I don't want to hear you, Grey Wolf. I don't want to see these videos, Grey Wolf. And how dare you speak this shit, Grey Wolf? But like I said it in a couple of other videos, and I'll say it again. To those insurrectionist people. This man's a millionaire. Where's your lawyer? You claim you went there for him. Where's that lawyer for you? Out of his pocket, he should be paying. Or am I just overreaching? Think about that shit. Lots of them said, oh, we went there because Trump secretly gave us orders to do that shit. Trump has denied that shit because he was down the street. You know, there is a book called The Art of War by Sun Tzu. You should probably read it. The pawns go in first. The real soldiers stay in the back. After the pawns kill as many people as they can and die off in the process, I send in the real soldiers. The real soldiers wipe out every goddamn body. Everybody. And then I come in, I take over, and now I'm your fucking emperor. Hey, it's a book. The Art of War. Go read it. Those insurrectionists were pawns. And if you think for a New York minute that the person that you guys did that shit for is going to give two F's about you while you're rotting in jail, waiting for trial, you know, some people are going to get off. You know, some people are going to get off. They may take deals, etc., etc. Some people are going to get off. We're going to face that shit, regardless. Some people are going to get off. But the fact of the matter is, they don't understand that once you are out of the presidency, you don't have power to grant clemency to no goddamn body. Your last act on your last day is your last act. Literally, your last act. Now, the only thing ex-presidents really have is influence. That's it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We learned that in Charlottesville when Terry McAuliffe had Biden and Obama in his corner, and everybody went the other way, except me. I voted for McAuliffe. I'm not going to lie. When he was running the place before, I had decent jobs, 2 of them. I had money, and I had money to burn. My bills were not just paid on time, it left me with stuff extra. Where Norton was in, up until the pandemic, you know, and before I went into the military, I had 2 jobs. I had money. After I joined the military, I haven't been able to score on a fucking real job yet. But that's not him, that's me. I can't blame him if people don't want to hire me. You know what I'm saying? I can't. But then you also have to look at the jobs that I applied for. You know, I got to take responsibility in what I applied for. I applied for jobs that does not involve me dealing with people. All right? I acquired jobs like washing dishes or cleaning so that I don't have to deal with people. Now, I'm going to explain that to everyone here because we're talking about racism. All right? Racism isn't something that just follows you on the block. Racism follows you everywhere you go if you've been the victim of racism. And that's the thing that no one's getting when I'm calling out Trump and shit like that. That's the thing that no one's getting. See, when I was working in the Colonnade Hotel, Mr. Taylor said some really racist shit. He had never said racist shit before. Ever. And he came out of his mouth with some racist shit that week that blew my fucking mind. Because I never thought that he would ever say that shit. In a million years, I never pictured him as letting racial shit fly out of his mouth. Because he was always polite. He was always gentle. He never said anything bad about people of color. Until one day, he got a raw hair up his ass because some white lady adopted 20 or 30 kids from Vietnam. He looked dead at my face with that paper in his hand and looked me dead in the face and said, "Hey, James, this lady just adopted 25 or 30 kids from Vietnam. Maybe she can adopt you." And I said, "Mr. Taylor, you know I'm not Vietnamese, right?" I said, "You know I'm like part native, part black, and part white. I'm not nowhere near Vietnam. Well, she can still adopt you." It's like, "I'm like 23, dude." He's like, "Well, she still can adopt you." My dumb brain fired off some shit out of my mouth. This should have never came out my mouth. And it was racist. The first thing I said, because I knew how to cuss people out in Chinese. I don't anymore, but I knew at the time. And I was like, "You know what, Mr. Taylor? if I didn't like you, I would cuss you out in Chinese. This asshole had just finished his meal before all this went down. He put his plate down, ran right up the stairs to my boss. And guess what? This motherfucker lied on me and said that I cussed him out in Chinese. Now, I don't know this because he never came back down. He never retrieved the paper. He took his coat when he went upstairs, and he took his wallet. Didn't leave me a tip or anything. He never did. But he walked up the stairs, and he never came back. I went on about my business. I cleaned up all the plates. And about an hour before I had to get off, my boss, dear old Kathy, who changed my diapers, called me upstairs to the office. I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck did I do? Because I ain't never been in trouble on the job before, like ever. Now, I've stayed late when I didn't have to. I've done a lot of things for that job that I would have never done if my manager wasn't Kathy. Because we're practically family. So, took the last place back there and I went on up there, not knowing that I was about to get the shit chewed out of me. And Betty, thank God for Betty. Betty came up there right behind me. And that's what saved my ass on that job. And Betty's part native and part white. So I go in there and Kathy is on fire. Not just sexy, but she's on fire. She goes, what's this shit about you cussing Mr. Taylor out in Chinese? I said, I never cussed Mr. Taylor out in Chinese. What I said was if I did not like him, I would cuss him out in Chinese. And Betty came in right on time. Before Kathy could open her mouth, she said, Kathy. Mr. Taylor started picking on him about these damn women that was adopting Vietnamese children. James was defending himself and telling Mr. Taylor that he's not from Vietnam and that he's part native and part black. He said, I know where James is from. If you ever tell anybody else that you can cuss them out in Chinese, you are fired. I said, well, what the fuck gives him the right to say what he said to me? And Betty jumped right on Kathy's ass. Say, no, you should not be firing him for that shit. You should be banning Mr. Taylor from coming in here fucking with your fucking employees. Then Kathy went to the books. Well, you know the customers are always right. And Betty said, damn the customers being right. He was fucking with him. Mr. Taylor should have never been bothering him in the first place on his job. It's fucking harassment. So, they agreed to disagree. And I kept my job. Then Kathy got a new job. And then I had Denver. Him and I, we butted heads. Then I had David. Him and I, we butted heads. They wouldn't fire me because I did my fucking job. And then we had, what the hell was her name? We had another woman. And she was there to stay. And we did get it. But she couldn't get me a raise. The only reason I left that job was because I had been there for 6 years at $5.50 an hour. And all I wanted was 50 cents. After I got the $6 an hour, they had hired new people. The new kids were coming in at $8 an hour. And because I was a Piedmont student versus a university student, those kids were making $8.50 and wasn't even showing up to work. I'd have to work longer shifts, and then they would show up for like an hour and make 3 times more money than me and out. They come in, I'm there from 8 to 3. They're in, they come in at 8, they're out by 9. Full day's pay. It's like, what the fuck? But some kind of college rule, some bullshit. They're like, well, we're working on getting you a raise. I was like, well, look, I'm at $6 an hour. Give me, well, I was at $6.50. I said, give me 50 cents, I'll be $7. I'll be $1 under these cats. And I'll be all right with that. I won't even complain. As hard as the manager worked, they would not give it to me. And so I said, well, fuck it, I can do bad by myself. And ever since then, that was like the worst thing I've ever done in my life. And I've had bad jobs ever since. The only good job I had after that was at Brown's. And I got fired. And then I worked at TJ Maxx. I got fired. Anyway, the best job I think I had was probably the Army. But I didn't want infantry. And I got fucked up, so I pretty much got fired. Anyway, I know you're all thinking, what the fuck does that have to do with racism? It just has something to do with me. But the racist part was with Mr. Taylor. But I did get fired at TJ Maxx under racist circumstances because my female manager and my male manager, one was Laotian and one was white. And I was trying to get a job at Giant. And they pigeon-toed my ass, giving me absolutely no choice but to put in my 2 weeks. And because I didn't put it in physically, I put it in verbally. That was that loophole that they body slammed me through, so I got fired. The female was Laotian, and the male was white. Mr. Reed and Miss Vi. Hope you're doing well. Fucking assholes. But anyway, when you start going back and you start doing your research about everything I said, you know, when you start looking at the Central Park Five with Trump, when you start looking at why don't you ask China, when you start looking at every time you take a stab at Elizabeth Warren calling her Pocahontas, if you don't think that's racist, you know, I'm done talking because that shit is racist. I just did scenarios about that shit. I was called chief for 3 years of my life. As much as it would be an honor to be a chief, I'm not. I don't descend from chiefs. I don't know what Ada was. I don't know what my grandmother's mother was. I know we're native. I don't know how much native, but I know we're native. So don't call me chief. Also, there was a movie called Renegades where every time someone would call Lou Diamond Phillips chief, he beat their ass. I kind of started getting like that because I got tired of being called chief. And then, you know, I got called other things. I didn't get called Sitting Bull. I didn't get called Geronimo. I got called Tonto once or twice. And I got called some other Native American things that kind of pissed me the fuck off. And, you know, if you are not the victim of that shit, then you just turn the blind eye to that shit. So, like I said, when Trump told that Chinese reporter, why don't you ask China? She's one of the few Asian reporters there. If you pan the area, if you go watch the whole video from all the channels, including Fox, you'll see that I think it's maybe, not gonna swear to it, maybe 5 Asian reporters there. She happened to be the only one that he let answer a question. And when she asked, why was it like a competition? And he says, why don't you ask China? She was Chinese. So if you don't think that's racist, maybe you might want to turn the clock back on your moral compass and reevaluate that shit. The fact that he called Pocahontas out every time that he had to say something about Elizabeth Warren, he would call her Pocahontas. He would not call her by her name, which is blatantly disrespectful. It shows how much he really likes women. You know, his money is what got him all the hot ass in the world. But, you know, when it came down to respect, he didn't respect women. That's what got Billy Bush fired, you know. Yeah, if you get, you know, if you're wealthy, you can grab them by the vaginas and they'll let you do it because you're rich. You know, it's on video. Hot Mike. That same kind of hot Mike shit that got Connie Chung fired. That same shit. But Billy Bush didn't do anything. Connie Chung did something. But Billy Bush didn't do anything. Fucking red-haired step troll did all the fucking talking. And Billy Bush got canned, which is fucked up. And I don't think that's fair, despite the fact that I may never get acting work because of this video. But I don't think that's fair that Billy Bush got fired for some shit that Donald Trump said. You ain't not one time hear Billy Bush say, I'm going to do that. Billy Bush is happily married. Don't know how that's working out. But Donald Trump was the one doing all the fucking talking, and everybody just like turned the blind eye to that shit. And then every time he's done racist rhetoric, everybody who supports him just turns the blind eye to that shit. Just like, fuck it, you know, turn the blind eye. We didn't see that shit. We didn't hear that shit. You know, you heard it, you just didn't want to hear it. You don't want to acknowledge that shit. And like I said, I am not here to make you hate Trump. I am not here to change your mind. I'm here to open your eyes. That's it. Now, what you don't seem as racist is, you know why I don't seem as racist? Because you're not in the race that it's being attacked. All right? Like a lot of Filipinos. A lot of them supported Trump. A lot of Mexicans supported Trump. A lot of Cubans supported Trump. But because he didn't say anything bad about Cubans, he said a fuck ton of shit bad about Mexicans. He did a ton shit against Chinese, but not Filipinos. But to those Filipinos, tell it to the Filipino guy who someone thought was Chinese and decided to take a knife across his face. Tell it to the Chinese guy where the black guy shoved his ass so hard that he died. Tell it to the Chinese lady that Elizabeth Munn was defending. All these people started attacking Chinese people because of the pandemic. Because somehow or another, everybody that's Chinese caused that shit. And yet, Y'all are going to deny it when there's a video with Trump saying there's a lot of these new things going around, you know, Chinese virus is catching on, Kung flu is catching on, Wuhan disaster, but you're going to deny that he said that shit, right? So, hey, deny it. I don't have to prove it. I saw it when he said the shit. Because here's that thing, you know, whether I like him or not, I am going to keep a close eye on him. Because here's that thing, when you don't know where your enemy is, that's when you get stabbed right in the face or in the back. And he's not my enemy. He's definitely not my friend. He's definitely not watching my videos. He's definitely not a fanboy. But I can guarantee you, had I been one of those insurrectionist dudes for him, I don't exist. Yeah, let's talk about that little half-native dude. You know, yeah, that half-native dude, like, broke all up in the White House trying to be a badass. He didn't do that for me. He didn't do that for me. He didn't do that for the Native Nation. He just did that shit. But that guy passing off as Thor with that helmet, you know, with the painted face and all that shit, you know, and all those ex-military men that did all that shit, all of y'all are waiting for pardons that this fucker can't grant you. Unless he gets voted back in. And even if he gets voted back in, there's no guarantee that he's going to grant you those pardons. And you think about that shit. And I'm sure Mike Pence is rolling around in his bed thinking, you know, this motherfucker sent people to the White House. Him and I are supposed to be on the same side. This son bitch clearly stabbed me in the fucking back. Everybody who broke in talking about something, we want Pence's head. We want Pence's head. But I'm sure you guys are going to deny that too. But go watch the videos. There's thousands of them out there. You're going to pick and choose your video. Alright? The same thing you're saying that I'm doing, you're actually going to do. I don't give a fuck. Because I didn't give a shit. I didn't vote for the motherfucker. I didn't care. You know, they won. When Pence and Trump won against Clinton and whoever the fuck was her running mate. I woke up the next day when it happened, packed my ball and went home. I didn't think two shits about this shit. I was like, well, here we go. We got a new president. Now we got to see how he's going to do. I never, ever thought in a million years, because I watched The Apprentice, never thought that I would be saying shit that I'm saying now about Donald Trump. Because some of the first people that he hired on The Apprentice were black people. Right or wrong. Same thing with Celebrity Apprentice. I watched that shit. When he became the president, thousands of celebrities said the same shit that I'm about to say right now. That is not the Donald Trump I know. That is not the Donald Trump I know. You can go find videos on celebrities saying that shit. It's like, nah, I know Donald Trump. That's not the Donald Trump I know. And thousands of them have said it. Which is why so many celebrities automatically turned against him. Because they knew him differently. And then when he became the president, he straight up became the biggest jerk there ever was. And yeah, I called him a jerk. I called him a jerk versus me, what I normally call him is the red-headed stepchild in charge. Now, had he won again, I would have just had to accept that shit and it wouldn't have been nothing I can do about it for another fucking 8 years. You know, because you get 4 years and if you're blessed, you get 4 more. You know, it's just a common fucking denominator of when you are running for office. Now, I've been going at this for 30 minutes because I really don't want to make a 6th video. But I'm going to continue. And I'm not here to persuade you to my line of thinking. Let's talk about that for a minute. Notice the words I used. I am not here to persuade you to my line of thinking. I am not that good. I am not Cobra Commander. I cannot make you believe what you don't want to believe. So if you're going to say anything about that, you need to pump your brakes right now. I'm here to open your eyes to what I've seen. You don't have to agree, but you do need to see. That's the difference maker. You know? Because, yeah, he may have done some good shit. He may have done good shit as the president. But who did he do good shit for? Because I'm sure you guys don't remember Standing Rock. I'm part Native, so when I found out about Standing Rock, I never stopped pushing the watch button. Then you got the new pipelines that's going through now. But before that, 17-year-old James, back in 1993 or 1990, was watching this man hate natives on a regular. Well, they don't look like natives to me. No. How come they got to pay no taxes on their casinos, but I got to pay taxes on mine? That shit was about money. It might not have seemed about race, But it was about race too, but it was mostly about money. But it became about race with that simple phrase of, they don't like Indians to me. Okay? So you don't think it was about race, but it was. And it was about money and race. And you're going to say, oh, James, you're nitpicking the shit that he said. Am I? Did you watch the whole video? I ain't talking about the 30-minute clip that I'm talking about the entire fucking shit. I mean, the whole hour and some change shit. Not the 30-minute one, not the 45-minute one, not the 15-minute one that specifically only gives you the information, not the 3-minute one, not the 2-minute one, not the 150-second one. No, not those ones. The actual full thing is like an hour and some change. Go watch that one. Then you let me know how you feel. Because you're probably going to disagree with me again, which is fine. But it's just the fact that I'm not telling you to watch the clips I showed you. Because I nitpicked those clips because of the time consistency on the fucking point that I was trying to make. But if you go watch the whole goddamn clip, then you let me know how you feel after you sit there for like an hour and a half watching this dude go back and forth about Indians and why it's not fair and why they ain't got to pay for taxes and we got to pay for taxes, but you fucking fail to understand that the Indian casinos feeds the tribes. It gives tribal people jobs so they can feed their families. The casino gets a check. It goes into certain aspects of the tribe. His casino don't do nothing but money in his pocket. The owners of the casino is the fucking tribe. For most tribes. So when they get the money, it is distributed damn near equally through everything after you pay your bills, because you have to have electricity to run the casino. Then you pay your fucking employees. And then whatever's left goes back to the tribe. That's why they try to bring so many people into the native casinos, because the more tourists have, the more money they make, the more money that the tribe can get. And very few native casinos don't have to pay taxes. Very few. It's not as many as he thinks it is. But, most of the time, the casino money goes straight to the tribe. But because he's only feeding his own wallet and his employees and shit like that, it's not... Damn, it's 11:24. I've been talking for a hot minute. I'm going to have to make a part 6. But it's just the principle of the shit that, he is feeding himself and his family. I got it. But he's a millionaire. Taxes shouldn't be a fucking issue for him. Period. Other millionaires pay taxes too. What makes him so special that he doesn't have to pay taxes? But he made it more racist than it had to be. And I will never forget the Central Park 5 thing. Because I'm about the same age as those cats. And for him to say, I want to reinstate the death penalty for black children that never raped a white lady but was arrested for raping a white lady and did damn near life in prison, and then he couldn't even man up and say, I'm sorry. That's some questionable shit. But I'm going to close out with the final shit. The increasing attacks on Asians by blacks and by whites since the Wuhan virus happened, or the Kung Flu, or the Chinese disease. When he started saying shit like that at these fucking rallies, and you're telling me that y'all don't think he's racist. You know why you don't think he's racist? Because you're not Chinese. It's just that simple. You're not Chinese. Standing Rock. Y'all don't think he's racist? You're not native. There was a native that was following him until damn near everybody who was following that native decided, we don't like you because you're following somebody who does not like natives. And he would defend Trump and stand on that hill and die the lone warrior. And he would say shit. He would blame natives for native problems. Well, goddamn. Everybody blames their own people for their own problems. That's not unusual. Because, hell, a lot of people that are black, our problems is within our own community. That shit's not wrong. But how he was doing it in a fucked up ass manner. It's like, yeah, the native problems is because of the natives. Trump doesn't owe the natives anything. And I was like, dude, you don't remember 1993? Trying to get rid of the native casinos so that his casinos can make more money, but Trump doesn't owe anybody anything. And that native went belly up. I don't think he still makes TikToks. I don't think he still does social media. And I believe it was Tatanka Native. And I could be wrong. I'm not sure if that was his name or not. But he did have the funny ass accent and shit. And did all kinds of good shit before that stuff started happening. And you know, you got to be on the right or wrong side of history. And 9 times out of 10, that's point of view. No, that's just the point blank period. It's point of view. And again, so that I can close this out and go walk these damn dogs that are not mine. I am not here to make you dislike Trump. I'm not. Like I said, I watched The Apprentice. I watched Celebrity Apprentice. But when he became the president, that was not the same Donald Trump. Period. That was a totally different guy. Racist rhetoric was always flying out of his mouth. And nobody censored him. Nobody stopped him. Everybody just let him fly off at the mouth and do whatever the fuck he wants. Nobody did a damn thing about it. But yet, if I say something about it, everybody's going to come at me on TikTok, on Instagram, or whatever social media that he has a strong fan base on, and they're not going to acknowledge the shit that I just acknowledged. They're not going to go look for these videos that I mentioned. They're not going to go look for the shit that he told the natives before Standing Rock, before he got the presidency, where he told them he doesn't have any business ties with Standing Rock. And when Obama put the decree to protect Standing Rock on his last day in, the first thing that Trump did when he got in was remove the decree that Obama had placed on Standing Rock. But I suppose you guys aren't going to think that that's racist. You know why? Because it's not affecting you because you're not native. And finally, with the Chinese stuff. There have been more Asians that have been attacked that ain't even fucking Chinese. But because racist people don't know the difference, it's like, oh, well, your eyes are slanted. You're Chinese. I'm going to go ahead and fuck you up now. No, and that's shit's the truth. You don't want to hear it. So the two ladies that were beaten by the black guy with the brick, I'm pretty sure they weren't Chinese. I think they were Korean. But because this black racist bastard didn't know the damn difference, he broke into their store with a fucking brick while they were closing up and continued to bludgeon the shit out of them with this brick. And what about the other Asian attacks where some of those guys were not Chinese? What about the young girls that beat up the lady on the bus who was like 56 or something, and they were black and she was Asian, but she wasn't Chinese? What about the Indian girl from India who people thought was Chinese and they beat her up? Hey, so don't tell me that this shit was happening before Trump got in office. Because it was happening. But it wasn't happening like this. It wasn't making the news like this. So, let's talk about the radicalization of Muslims and all that stuff when Obama was in office. But you thought I was going to let that shit go? No, I wasn't going to let that shit go because I voted for Obama twice. But the first time I voted for Obama was because Hillary dropped out. I was voting for Hillary. Understand the pattern? I voted for 2 women and they didn't make it. Alright? Which is why Biden got in. Which is why Obama got in the first time. This is the way it works. Politics. But, yeah. Obama sent a fuck ton of people back to Haiti. He's a black man. And sent a fuck ton of black people back to Haiti. Do you not know that the black community hated the fuck out of Obama for that shit? But he did acknowledge that shit. Yeah, I did that shit. He did acknowledge that shit. But y'all won't acknowledge that shit that Trump says or does. But yet, it's racist. Which goes back to my point. There are no people above racism. There's an equal amount of racist people in the black community, the white community, the Asian community, the Native community. Now, being that there's only 3 specific human species, so they say, there's Caucasoid, being white people, Mongoloid, being Asian people, and Negroid, being black people. There's a 5th kind. This is my kind. We don't have a scientific genetic verse for us because I am all 3 of those. Because natives are biologically Asian. I did not know that until I got to college. Somewhere along the line I forgot about the land bridge bullshit. But who's not to say that natives were here first and went the other way? No one knows. We're never going to know until we all come together with the Great Spirit in the afterlife. Till then, if I have offended you with this video, I apologize profusely. You do not have to accept it. But I'm only going to say this one more time. I'm not here to change your mind about Trump. I am not. That is not my job. That is not the purpose of everything I fucking said here. The only purpose of what I said here, the only purpose that matters, is that I am here to open up your eyes. Because see, if you have not been the victim of racism, in other words, if you're white and nobody black has come at you with racial bullshit, if you're black and nobody white or other people have come at you with racial bullshit, you have not been the victim of racism. If you are Asian and white people and black people have not come at you with racial bullshit, you have not been the victim of racism. If you are not mixed or multicultural like me and have had natives, blacks, and whites come at you with racial bullshit, you have not been the victim of racism. And you have no fucking idea what racism actually is. And once you become the victim of racism, then you can come back and let me know how that shit feels. Because it hurts. It hurts on a level that I would never want anyone to suffer through. But you try going from kindergarten to college and having people always shun you or say shit behind your back. Well, we can't talk about this because that guy over there, he's half black and we're talking about black people. You think I can't hear? Had it happen. You think it hasn't happened the other way? It has happened. Where I come in the room and black people are like, hey, everybody shut up. The half-breed honky is here. And yes, I use the H word. And you think they haven't said that shit to me? You don't know racism. Now, when the natives happened, I was well into my 20s. When they stopped me from talking to a high chief's daughter. Hey, you there. You can't be talking to her. You can't date her. Look the other way. You're not pure blood. You don't deserve to be with our chief's daughter. You can't earn the right because you're not full native. Walk away. And I'm looking at him like, hey, she's a grown-ass woman, and I will flip you out that fucking chair. And I had to let him know. I was like, dude, I'm not scared of you. You're in a wheelchair. I will flip you out that damn chair. He rolls off behind her. They have a little chat. She's not allowed to talk to me. She's not allowed to look at me. She's not allowed to be anywhere near me. And I've told you this story before. No sooner than that one rolled away, the other one rolled up. Started talking the same exact bullshit. I've only had 2 bad experiences with natives. And they were brothers. I do not know what tribe they are. And I hope that they're doing well. I hope that the girl's doing well. But when you go through some shit like that, then you come back at me and tell me how it feels to be the victim of racism. Because I've lived racism for 48 years of my fucking life. 48 years of that shit. Having black people not like me because I'm never going to be black enough. Having white people not like me because I'm never going to be white enough. My great-grandmother never told me the natives were going to be the same. I had to learn. So while you're thinking I'm just fucking with Trump, I'm fucking with all racist people. I hate racists. And I don't have the right to be a racist, but I'm the racist motherfucker you will meet because I hate racist people, and I am racist to racist people. So therefore, if you don't like that, I'm not going to cry about it. I'm not going to feel sorry about it. I said what I said. Thank you for watching. I'm Echo Fan Grey Wolf. This is Kung Fu Fighter number 2. I got to go walk dogs. BC and you.